Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you have not already subscribed it, please do subscribe it and press the bell icon so that you get all the notifications whenever I load any video. Today's video we are going to talk about environment variables within Node.js, and there is a specific file called as .env that could be used for setting up configuration or environment variables. It's a small video that I'm creating, but very effective because in our day-to-day projects, we might be using those environmental variables, whether in the form of a connection string or a key or a secret key or anything. So environment variables are a fundamental part of Node.js. Every language or every framework provide that kind of an environment. The best practice is to always set up environmental variables rather than hard coding them in the code. So rather than using the secret key or using the database connection directly or hard coding them in our code, it's better to put them as an environmental variable or as a configuration. So from the configuration file or from the environmental variable files, the platform is able to read those configurations or secret keys or anything. And the another advantage is it can be used for different environments like prod, test, UAT, because typically there are like 2 or 3 environments which every organization would set up. And we could also use the environmental variables or .env file for configuration that our application needs. So let's not waste more time on theory. We know the fundamentals of environmental variables now, so let's delve into the practical stuff. So in order to work with the environmental variables, there are multiple npm packages that could be used. The one which I'm going to use over here and demonstrate is the .env package. So the first thing is to install that package out here. Let's say I'll just install it globally, and then I'll say .env. Now once the package is installed, we could use this package to actually start reading the environmental variables. Now typically I have one file called as .env file. Now .env is an environmental file that would be storing all your configuration or connection strings or keys or anything, so you could use that. Let's say I'm storing a username password which you are going to use in your code to connect to a service. So let's say I'll create that username which is Rohit, and then I'll say password which is turn, something like this. We could have multiple combinations over here. You could store a full-fledged connection string also, but for the demonstration purpose I'm just storing these two keys values, that is the username and the password variable. Now they are into the ENV file, and within the test.js we are going to require that. So normally people, what they do is they actually start using those username and passwords directly over here, like hard coded over here, which is not a good practice, because if it changes, you have to actually go into the code, make some changes, redeploy it. But if it is in the environmental variable file, it's so simple. You just change it at one place and then it is automatically deployed for you. So let's see how we could use it. So the first one we are going to use over here is to actually require that. So we'll say const config is equal to require .env.config. Now that's what I'm using to require that package, so that I should be able to read that. Now once I'm able to read it, so I could store that username and password. So what I can do is I can say let username is equal to config.parsed, and I could just remember the name of the variable which I declared, because one was the username and the other is the password. So I'm just using that, and then I'll also say password is equal to config.parsed.password. Now these are the ways I'm trying to read the values of those two variables and put it into some variable like a username or a password. And now let's see whether we are able to read it or not. So I could say the username is, I'll say username, and password is password. So let's give it a try and see whether we could do that or not. So node, and I'll say test.js. So if I say run this, you could see that the username is being read as Rohit and the password which is being read is Hunt. So it is automatically read from the configuration file, that is the .env file, a simple way of reading those rather than hard coding them. So it's always a best practice to do this way rather than hard coding. This way you could also target different environments once you actually deploy the app into UAT prod or test environment. So I hope guys this video is a small video, but it's a very important aspect of the best practices which we should follow within our day-to-day programming stuff. I'll be coming back with more videos, so stay tuned and have a good one. Thank you.